Good afternoon, and thank you for coming. I am very pleased and relieved tonight to announce that the Amber Alert issued for the Rogersville Police Department on May 5th for Carlie Trent has been successfully resolved. Carlie is safe tonight because of an entire community pulling together and working with law enforcement to bring her home. But our work isn't done. In the coming days and weeks, we will work with the District Attorney, Dan Armstrong, to ensure that Gary Simpson is prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Gary Simpson is charged with especially aggravated kidnapping, but officers and agents will pursue additional charges if warranted. As part of the child abduction response protocol, strategies were put in place to aid in bringing Carlie home. One of these techniques is to ask the public to check their property, barns, outbuildings, and four-wheel trails. 2 conscientious Hawkins County residents did just that. Donnie Lawson and Baptist minister Roger Carpenter found Gary Simpson and Carlie Trent deep into their property along trails only accessible by four-wheel drive. Mr. Carpenter held Gary Simpson at gunpoint while Mr. Lawson called 911 and rescued Carlie. We are sure the family of Carlie Trent sends their heartfelt thanks to the actions that were taken today. We would like to thank the Rogersville Police Department, Hawkins County Sheriff's Department, the United States Marshal Service, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, the Tennessee Highway Patrol, the Tennessee Emergency Management, and the Tennessee National Guard for all their assistance in this case. At this time, we'll take a few questions, as you might expect. This is really evolving pretty quick, and so we don't have a lot, but I will try to answer any question that you might have.
Director, what can you tell us about Carlie's condition? What do we know at this point?
She appeared to be okay, but obviously we're going to have to take her and get medically treated and advised, and we'll see from there. She's en route to the hospital right now. Any other questions?
Gary Simpson, do you know how long they've been in that location for?
No, we don't. It's just too early. It's very rural. In fact, there was very little phone service there. We're even having trouble contacting our agents that are on the scene right now because there's just such little cell phone service in that area. Very
Can you
rural.
elaborate any more on what you think his motive might have been, or what it was that led you to say that you believed that she might be in imminent danger of harm or death?
Well, you know, anytime someone is taken like this, kidnapped, we know that time's not on our side, and we've got to act and react very quickly. So we want to take the most precautions that we can, and part of that is putting the word out that we felt she was in danger, imminent danger, because our intelligence was telling us that. But thank God she was rescued safe. And we'll just hope that that all the medical examinations turn out positive.
Were you able to recover the van?
Yes, we have.
Was it there in the location? Did they have a campsite set up?
It was close. It was close.
They were camping?
It was close. The van was in close proximity to where we got. But obviously, where they were at, we could only access by four-wheelers. So that tells you how rural it was and how deep back in there it was.
We've been seeing this constant pressure in the last week from the TBI and other law enforcement, keeping the word out there, making sure that Amber Alert stays on billboards. Did that make a difference?
Well, you know, we hope it did. We think it did. In cases like this, we've learned from analyzing cases from not just here in Tennessee, but all over the country, that you've got to keep pressure out there. You've got to keep the word out there. You've got to keep the public involved. And that's what we were trying to do. And once again, I think it worked. You know, the public is who rescued Carlie. And without keeping them involved and without their assistance, I wouldn't be standing here right now.
Do you know, was Simpson armed?
That I do not know.
Do you know if the residents who found him had any law enforcement training, or if they just saw him and happened to have a gun and said, stay where you are?
That I don't know, but I know they were, we had asked all residents to go onto their properties to see what they could see, and I think this is just two heroes that went onto the property just to see, by chance, could they be there, and they were. And I think this is a clear message that we should send to the public, that we got to have your help in these type of cases.
Can you repeat the names of the men?
Yes. Donnie Lawson and Roger Carpenter.
And was Carpenter the minister?
Carpenter was the minister, yes.
Would you imagine they would be eligible now for this reward, which I heard was up to $40,000?
We'll just have to sit down and look. They very well could be, very well could be. And duly deserved, absolutely. I mean, you can't put a price on Carlie's life. So,
You said was their property, are they related, or is it one of the other?
that I don't know. That I don't
What
know.
are Carlie's spirits like now that she's with them?
I can't go into that.
Did you think all along that he likely was fairly close by? There were sightings, as far away as Idaho. Was your focus still, hey, he didn't go far?
Absolutely. Our intelligence was telling us that. Our experience was telling us that. In these type of cases, you're going to get leads from all over the country coming in, and we're going to run those leads out. But our focus was still in that area. Obviously, we still had our command post up there. We were still really putting a lot of pressure on that area.
In addition to that kidnapping charge, any idea what other charges might be pending?
Yeah, we won't know until, like I said, we're going to get some examinations done and do some interviews and go from there. One more question?
Do you know if she had any awareness that there was this big search going on for her, and that she could possibly be in danger?
We hadn't talked to her. Like I say, she's en route to the hospital. Our first concern right now is to get her examined by the proper medical staff, and then we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out. As we mentioned earlier, there's a lot of information that is still going to be available as this case unfolds, and we will provide to you what we're able to at this time. But in light of the good news of this, we wanted to be sure and get the information because we've all depended upon you to get the word out. So thank you for everything that you have done. And as we have more information, more details, you can continue to email us as you always do, and we'll provide that as we are able to as it becomes available.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Is Margie talking, or?
Did you have a question for her?
Oh, I thought she was taking the video.
She was going to answer some questions if you had any about like the Amber Alert aspect. Did you know?
Yeah, that would be great.
Claire. Hang on, let's just see. Are you still on there? So there you have it, guys. You got to hear it all, and I think we have a special agent now that's going to give us some sound as well. So let's listen to
Can
this.
you just see if there's a line for us?
It's okay.
So Margie does not have a statement, so if you all have any questions that you wanted to ask her related to the Amber Alert, she's, yeah, go ahead.
My name is Margie Quinn, by the way, Quin, and I'm an assistant special agent in charge with the TBI, and I've been the statewide Amber Alert coordinator for about 10 years.
Margie, at what point in time did you realize that you needed to upgrade this from an endangered child alert to an Amber Alert?
Sure. The Rogersville Police Department called the TBI at about 8 o'clock in the evening on the 4th. And I talked with detectives, and James Trent was there at the police department. I spoke with him. Because initially the custody was a little murky, we went to an endangered child alert. We knew that he had taken her under false pretenses, and we were very concerned about the manner in which he took her and some of the preparations that he made before he took her. So we issued that endangered child alert. We were able to obtain a warrant, or the Rogersville Police Department obtained a warrant overnight, and we upgraded to the Amber Alert first thing on the 5th, the morning of the 5th.
You have so many tips coming in when you put out an Amber Alert. How do you kind of go through them and decide which ones are important and which might not be?
Sure. We have a child abduction response strategy. We have child abduction response teams across the state that are certified teams through the Department of Justice. So we put in place immediately that protocol. And part of that is looking at and analyzing the tips and leads that come in to the 1-800-TBI fine line. We took an incredible 1,850 leads on this particular case. We're looking to see if that's a record on an Amber Alert in that short a time period. 1,850 leads in 7 days, which is an inordinate amount of leads. And that doesn't include the leads that came into Missouri and Idaho and the other 22 states that took leads on sightings for this little girl. So part of the protocol is that supervisors and case agents are looking at those leads as they come in and they're prioritizing them. So if a lead comes in and it's, I saw this car on I-75 north of Georgia yesterday, obviously that's a lower priority lead than a lead that comes in that says, hey, I just saw this car parked in the McDonald's parking lot. I think that the subject in the car looks a lot like Gary Simpson. That obviously is a much higher priority lead, and we're going to send somebody immediately to follow up on that lead.
Can you kind of talk a little bit about what happens in the moments after now this child's been rescued, going to the hospital to be examined, and then what point do you or investigators really get in and talk to her, and then I don't know if you're dealing with Simpson as well, or if that's outside what you guys will be dealing with?
We will be involved in all parts of the investigation from here forward. Again, the director said that the first steps are to make sure that she is physically okay. So she will go through examinations. She's at the hospital. She'll be cared for. Depending on what state she's in will depend on whether or not we conduct interviews with her and talk to her tonight or tomorrow or next week. It will really depend on what her medical condition is and what her emotional condition is. We will also participate in interviews with Gary Simpson if he consents to the interview. And we will be involved in all parts of the investigation.
Talk about, I mean, when you upgrade to that Amber Alert, that big idea is to put that constant pressure on.
Yes.
That's important in the case when there's a missing little girl. Talk
Right.
about that.
The Amber Alert system, which was put in place in 1996 as a result of the disappearance or kidnapping of Amber Hagerman in Arlington, Texas. It's a system that's been in place over 20 years. I think we just celebrated the 20-year anniversary of the Amber Alert system. It is a wildly successful system in our country, and it has resulted in the successful rescue of hundreds and hundreds of children. Children that may not have been rescued prior to the Amber Alert system being put in place. I'm prejudiced, but I think we have a really good system here in the state of Tennessee. We have great partners. The media obviously is one of the most important partners that we have in the Amber Alert system. Without you all helping us put the word out to all law enforcement, all the citizens, all the communities across our state, it would not be successful. So a big thanks to the media for sticking with us through these grueling 7 days.
This could be a record-breaking number of leads.
It could be, but we don't know that yet.
Why do you think this generated so much attention compared to other Amber Alerts?
We've talked about that, and I think that, for one thing, we had all three. So we had the trifecta. We had the 9-year-old girl. We had identified the suspect, and we had a good vehicle description, a very unique vehicle that was out there. So I think that generated quite a lot of sightings. And she's a 9-year-old girl, and you look at the photos and the videos of her, and there's no way that doesn't touch your heart. When you see that, if you see it on Facebook or you see it on Twitter or on your newscast at night, I think the public was very invested in bringing Carlie home.
How helpful was his wife in any way, Simpson's wife? And do you look through his things at his house? I mean, if he has phone records, if he has a computer, all of that, did you guys go through?
I won't comment specifically about the investigation, but
In general?
his wife was very cooperative. All his family members were very cooperative, and they were talked to numerous times. They were very cooperative with law enforcement.
Any reason to believe anyone else might be involved, or was this Simpson alone?
It's too early to tell.
So that's a possibility.
Anything's a possibility at this point. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you, Margie.